Okay, hi, good morning all. Yeah, today's session we talk about the exception handling and especially in Spring Boot. Okay, so what is basically the exception handling? Suppose you write this code, okay. In this code, there are chances that some null pointer exception or any exception occur and you are not ready with that. Okay, in that case, what happen? Your application totally break. Okay, this should not be happen on production on any dev QA environment. Okay, because it's break your system, it should not be the appropriate behavior. What is appropriate behavior? Okay, so these lines of a code have the possibility to throw any exception, so that exception need to address. Okay, how you address that is basically exception handling. I just recap basically how the exception get handling, and we'll go with the traditional and new approach. So in a Java, there are three words: try, catch, and finally. So in a try bracket, you will write the code which maybe populate the any exception. Okay, that you are catching here and masking with the any kind of exception, generally service exception or other exceptions, or if it's it's not recommended, but if you want actually the behavior where that exception should not throw or should not go till the end, you will catch and do some kind of code, and in a finally we will close your resources. This is a traditional way, okay, in a plain Java code. But if you are writing a other enterprise application, like in a Java, means Java servlet or Java JSP pages, you write that there is a traditional way that you are maintaining a one class like customer already exit exception, and which is extend that runtime exception, and you are here writing that message thing which you want to convey, and in a message you are just in a constructor you are just assigning that message to the message, and when you throw that will return to end user. Like here, if I check like add customer, here I am adding the customer, and if the existing customer is null, means existing customer is equal to null, we are saying that. But if it's not null, then we are saying that customer is already exist, because the get ID, and here we are checking that existing customer null or not. So this is the traditional way we are sending the exception. But in a Spring Boot, okay, what we discussed till now, first one, what is exception and how it's handled with the Java SE, Java Standard Edition, how we are handling what we discussed, which is in a Java EE, like Java Enterprise Edition, and we are going to see how it will be handled in a Spring Boot kind of application. Okay, these two are done. We are currently doing third one. Okay, so in a Spring Boot applications, I just provide the, here we are using exception handler, which provide us to map the your response, means this is currently your response. This will directly not passes to the end user. Here came into Spring, this response came, translate it and send it to the end user. So exception handler generally do this activity. Okay, for that, what are things need to define from your end? So the exception, that means there we are not sending 200 or 202, we are sending different status code and the exact error message. This is I am just preparing a data repository, and with the constructor like all argument and no argument constructor with the status code and a message, like here 403 or 500, which is server responding, and message which is null pointer exception or request not accepted, that kind of message I am throwing from here. The error message I am directly assigning to that. In addition to that, as per the existing thing what we discuss here, we are need to define like exception handler. That means whenever any exception came, you need to call this customer already exit exception. In our code, in a traditional code, if you see that here I am preparing a new class, but in a Spring Boot thing, you are mentioning only the class, means if any exception occur, this class will get handled by that exception, and response status is a conflict because user is already present. Okay, that's clear. Yeah, exception handler and a response status, two things need to handle, and here you are handling that like a handle customer already exit exception, and which is a error response which already we created here. This is the error response response object. So we are just returning error response, status code and message which is we are passing. Okay, now we will create the controller advice, means this controller and advice handle for all the exceptions. Means if you see here, like exception handler, we already define one class which is exception handler. Here this is a customer already exception. Here you are defining that. Response status is a similar one. This is a different kind of except, like no customer exit exception. Same way we are here handling. So this is a way you can handle custom exception and a global exception. This is a custom exception and this is a global exception. So you can write your own exceptions. Yeah, this is the first example of exception handling. Yeah, till now we discuss about the three things like Java SE, Java EE and Spring Boot exception handling. We'll take another example of a Spring Boot exception handling because it's required some extra additional knowledge to how to handle that. Okay, yeah, we'll go through new example. Okay, so in this example, if you check that, here I prepare the controller. Just one second. Okay, here I prepare one controller advice. Which controller advice? Controller advice, why I am mentioning, because in a my exception, this is a product exception controller. In this controller, I am simply defining the exception handler with the name like product not defined. And here, like earlier we said that response entity should have the message and the status code. So this is the message product not found and this is the status code I am returning. Okay, and this is the response entity. We are casting this exception to this, and in a product slash id, this is a controller. Okay, this is our original controller. Whenever request came to slash product id, actually I am checking that in a product repo product id is there or not. If not there, I am just simply product not found exception, which is similar, which is same at a exceptional handler value. Okay, so this way automatically map with the product not found exception and exception get thrown up. If this is found, we are simply removing and deleting and sending the response entity. Okay, this is a simple example, like one liner means just prepare in a controller. You are sending one exception. You are making one class where first you need to define like a controller advice and your class. Then second, you need to define exception handler, and in the third case, you need to return a status and the exception message. And that class you need to define at your code where you want to throw an exception. That's it. This is a 4-step thing how we are handling in a Spring Boot exception handling. Yeah, that's it for today's session. If you have questions or things, let me know. Yeah, thanks all. Bye.